Morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 School Board Workshop. Glad to be here, and at this time, I will hand it over to Vice Chair Seeger to get us started on our short agenda this morning.
Thank you, Chairman Leclerc. I'm excited for this lengthy agenda we're about to attack. First up, only up, is the district strategic plan priority number 2. So who's going to join us?
We are coming, yes,
Okay.
yes.
We can't start without you.
Well, we're coming. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Laura and Bruce we're gonna present this morning our update on DSP 2. I'll come on this side and run through. We have some good data to share today, so we're excited to share that information with you. And do you know the good things that are happening? As you remember, our priority is to provide staff with the tools and resources to promote student success. So hence Laura is here to cover all the professional learning aspect, and then Bruce and I will go over our recruitment and retention piece of that. So, all right, with that, we'll turn it over to let you talk about our committee.
Okay, and as Adrienne said, priority 2 is focused on staff, which is professional learning and human resources together. And you can see our committee members this year. We have added some more folks to the committee, as well as rotated a few folks off of the committee. You can also see our meeting dates. This year, we changed our meetings up a little bit. Our first meeting was on a Monday afternoon. The next meeting would be on a Tuesday, the following meeting on a Wednesday, and then the last meeting on a Thursday. We're cycling them that way so that we can try to get more participation, because some of our members had things on Wednesdays after school or on Tuesdays after school. So that way we can have as many people participate as possible each time. Here you can see our objective strategy 1, which is provide targeted and personalized professional learning for all staff. And you can see our performance indicators there on the left. The first 2 are the 2 that were given to us by the committee at the beginning of the inception of the district strategic plan. If you look at the first one, which is the percentage of teachers and staff members participating in school-based professional learning related to SIP goal setting at the beginning of the year, you can see that we have met that goal. And the reason we've met that goal is because we put a system into place where every summer, when the principals and their teams are writing their SIP plans, they are also long-range planning for their professional learning to ensure that that professional learning aligns with their SIP plan. So while we're saying that we've met that goal, we're going to continue monitoring that system and continue monitoring that that is in place and that that continues. We're going to talk a little bit more. I'll show you some data on some coming slides about the second one, which is the percentage of participants reporting professional learning was meaningful and related to overall goals of the district. You'll see that that's in progress, and that this past year, our actual result was 96%, and we're going to keep a goal of 95% going forward with that one. We did add an additional goal to help enhance our objective, which is the number of induction plans to support new hires. As you may recall, and we'll talk about this a little more, last year was the first year that we put in induction plans for teachers monthly, actually twice a month, as teachers were hired during the year to help support them. In previous years, we did a great big induction in August when the majority of our teachers were hired, and then as teachers were hired during the year, we just kind of threw them in and said, good luck. So this past year, we brought in all of our new teachers twice a month and did a lot of professional learning with them to set them up for success, and you'll see some data around that. And what we're doing this year is adding a new program to support our paraprofessionals as they're hired during the year. I would say one comment about that because that's going really well. And a lot of the things that you'll hear about in our next steps is that, and I remember when we did the district strategic plan, this was all means all, right? So it was all of our employees. So we feel pretty solid with what we're doing with our administrators, our teachers, and our paraprofessionals, but we still have a whole nother category of employees out there that we want to meet their needs as well. So we've been meeting with them, and that's been kind of our focus this whole year. So next year, you know, that'll hopefully have those plans into place. So all means all. All right, so here you can see our data for one of our KPIs, and we're using our survey. The committee worked last year to redesign the questions on that post-survey after every professional learning opportunity to try to streamline the questions and to try to get better participation, because we found that a lot of people were just saying NA, NA, NA and weren't really answering the questions. So we feel like we really did a great job with that last year. And the question that we're using to provide our data is, as a CCPS educator, I believe this session was meaningful. And so you can see this is a list of all of our early release days and our school-based professional learning opportunities this past year. And you can see that we had 95.77 who agreed and 4.23 that said no. So that's where we got that data.
Are the
Yes.
surveys anonymous?
I'm sorry?
Are the surveys anonymous? So there's no way to
Yes.
kind of go back to people who said no and be like, tell me why.
No, but we do have a question that if they answered no, we ask them to please elaborate
Okay.
and let us know why.
Does anybody do that?
A little bit, but we haven't really gotten a lot of information back from that that's really changed what we're doing.
Gotcha.
But we do look at it.
But we do share with the district, with the schools.
Yes, and the principals all know how to go about going in and looking at their data. So when they're planning things for their early release days or the work days or the full day afterward, they can go back and see how well was it received and what kind of feedback are they getting. Then this was some summer professional learning opportunities that we had over the summer at the PDC, and those were open to anyone that was interested in participating. And so we had 99.44 yes and 0.56 no. All right, at the beginning of the year, we had our Net Academy. Due to budget constraints, we ended up having to pare that down to 2 days instead of the 4 that we have done in the past. But we also did some restructuring based on feedback that we had from our participants the previous year. So we actually had 1 day at the Charlotte Harbor Event Center, and then the next day we had at Charlotte High. They hosted us, and it was really fantastic. Each of our new teachers was able to spend half the day working with their curriculum and instruction specialist, focusing on that. And then they rotated in and out of some professional practice sessions where they learned about PBIS, ELL, ESE supports, and all kinds of other things to help get them geared up and ready to go. We also I have 3 professional learning specialists in my department, and so they are focusing on a set of schools each, and they're the point people that are going out and meeting with the new teachers 3 times during the year, meeting with the new teachers and their mentors to ensure that they can support them and help them if they need anything, that they're on track for success. We also changed our the way that we assess the FEEP. So all of our new teachers, it's required that they learn about the Florida Educator Accomplished Practices. And the Marzano elements are the way that we document that to the state. So in order to further personalize professional learning, what we've done, and we did this actually on the 2nd day, was asked all the new teachers to start a self-assessment of those Marzano elements and then select a Marzano element that matched up with the FEEPs to be a focus area for the year. And so they're all focusing on an area that they feel like they need to grow in. It's not one size fits all. And we feel like it's really important to differentiate that, just like we do with our students in the classroom. Some of our teachers come to us with a wealth of knowledge and experience. Some of them are fresh out of college. Some of them are second career folks that just decided, you know what, I think I want to be a teacher instead. And so we need to take them where they are and continue to grow them from there. This is the agenda. You can just see it a little bit more deeply there. And as I mentioned earlier, we're still working on, as we're hiring people, if and when we're hiring them, we still have those opportunities for them to come and be trained. They come to 2 days at the Professional Development Center, and then they spend 2 days at their school site working with their coach, working on setting up their classrooms, going into classrooms of other teachers and observing them as well. Okay, and then I mentioned our paraprofessionals and that we're supporting them this year a little bit more deeply. So this was actually a 2-day paraprofessional orientation that we had in August. The first day they rotated through some sessions with fiddlers who supported us and helped with the professional learning. And then on the 2nd day they had verbal de-escalation training, which we feel is really important for them. And did you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say verbal de-escalation, that's something that was born out of a need, not only by our school principals, but from our labor relations and everywhere. We wanted to make sure they were equipped with at least that tool when they were placed in the building. So prior to them stepping foot, they go through this training that Laura's put together.
Right, so this was the August, and then we continue that version once a month, you can see here through February. So any new paraprofessionals we're hiring have that opportunity to learn about working with small groups, learn about working with special ed students, whatever they need to learn about, and then they all go through that verbal de-escalation. We open up that verbal de-escalation to any other paraprofessionals or teachers that want that training or need that training, so we open that up and we have usually a full house for that. We just did this last week. And then we also have a second day which involves physical restraints that is offered just intermittently on certain dates, and anyone that needs that has that opportunity as well. And we've really increased the offerings because this has been something where we've kind of been chasing people around to get them to take the training, and now there's lots of opportunity for them to do it.
Can I ask real quick, what does that W or the YMHFA stand
I'm sorry, Youth Mental Health First Aid.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Youth Mental Health First Aid, which we're required, within Mike's division to make sure that we certify a certain percentage of employees that are in direct contact with students. So we send our bus drivers, our food service personnel, paraprofessionals, teachers, everyone. Okay, and then here is our second objective in the professional learning area, and the first one is a number of days, hours devoted to district-based professional learning related to Priority 1. And we'll see the chart of our hours from last year compared to our hours from this year. We're hoping to maintain 50 hours, which was the number of hours devoted last year. And then the second one is the record of district-based professional learning topics and sessions related to Priority 1 throughout the school year. And really that's our professional learning catalog, our master in-service plan that you all see every year before we submit it to the state. And we ensure that those courses that are in the professional learning catalog are aligned with our district strategic plan and our initiative. So we feel as though we have met that goal because we review that every year. We have to submit it to you all to review. We submit it to FLDOE for their stamp of approval. But again, we're going to continue to monitor that. Just because we've met it, we're not going to say, all right, check, forget about it. We did, however, add another goal to continue the focus on additional opportunities, and that is the number of completers of internal alternative certification pathways. And we'll talk about that a little bit next. So here's our charts of the school-based professional learning opportunities. You can see this was 24-25. We projected 56. We had a hurricane little hiccup there, and then we had some feedback and we canceled a couple of teacher workday opportunities. So our actual was 50 from 56. Here is our calendar for this year, and you can see we're projecting 56 again, but our goal is 50. So we're hoping to actually exceed that. We just have to kind of see what happens with the hurricane makeup days. And currently, those hurricane makeup days, you remember the way we built the calendars this year, they're scheduled, everyone works those days. So they are only hurricane makeup days for students. So we are planning and full bore ahead with planning professional learning for they in hopes that remains. So fingers crossed. Yes. So next we're going to talk about those internal certification pathways. We're going to focus really on the professional learning certification program, which is our ALT-CERT pathway for folks that come to us as career changers. And then we're also going to talk about the school support personnel to teacher pathway, which is our pathway for our paraprofessionals, data tech, secretaries who want to become teachers in partnership with FGCU. We also have the military veteran certification pathway. These are some other professional learning opportunities and then the endorsements that we offer through our district. So the professional learning certification program, that's the program for the alternate certified teachers. It's actually a 2-year program. So we're just starting to get some completers. Some folks can finish in 1 year. It really depends on their requirements. Everyone that's on an alternate certification gets a statement of eligibility from the state, and that tells them what they have to do. It's really not one size fits all. Some folks are able to move a little more quickly through those requirements. Some folks takes them a little bit longer. It just really depends on what the state tells them that they need. But we're fortunate to have a program in-house. That program was approved back in 2023 by the DOE, And it's really a great program for the alt-cert people because it's less expensive than them going to a college and piecemealing college courses. They also have a school-based mentor that does 2 coaching cycles with them and a district-based mentor from the PDC as well. So they really get a lot of support, which is great because folks think, oh, teaching sounds like fun, I'm gonna jump in and do that. And then they find out it's a little bit harder than kids just sitting down and doing what they're told.
This was such a great partnership for us, probably one of the things that I'm most proud of that we have accomplished because we would hire alt-cert teachers, we would get them in, they would have 3 years to do it, it would come certification time, and they didn't understand the process, they didn't know, and then I was having to let them go because they had never completed that process. So what Laura's put together and really built, I mean, just looking at the number of completers and stuff in there is a big testament. We are not chasing people in HR like we've had to in the past.
So these completers are certifiable anywhere in the state of Florida?
Yes, so they're permanent, they get their permanent teaching certificate. They give them their professional, yeah, which is pretty cool.
Have we retained all of the completers, do you know?
Oh, that would be a good metric to check.
Yes,
Make sure
I'll
they're-
check that, I will check that and report back. I kind of wanna say yes, and what's really cool too is then we build a relationship with these people, and then they come back for endorsements, or they come back for other stuff, because now we've got a partnership with them, which is neat. But I will
Unless
check
they
that.
move, then they have to pay us
Oh, there you
back.
go.
All right, so the next one that we're also really proud of is the School Support Personnel to Teacher Pathway. And this again is a 2-year program, so actually our 12 participants that started in the spring of 2024, 11, well, one of them was an early completer because she had a lot of credits under her belt, so she did her teacher of record last fall. This fall, the year that we're currently in, we have 10 folks that are teachers of record. And the feedback that I'm getting from the college is that because these people worked in the schools and were support staff, they really went in and they knew what they were doing because they had the lay of the land, they knew their schools, they knew the kids. They weren't like your typical first year hire. They were actually helping other people who were first year hires. So it's been going really well and it's really exciting. So far they've all been very successful. We have only 11 because they have to pass their subject area exam in order to get the temporary teacher internship certificate. And we had one gal who was not able to pass hers, so she's taking a pause this semester to study and hopefully will pass this semester and be teacher of record in the spring.
That was a really great thing that happened when the state let us, because these people that are teacher of record right now are receiving teacher pay. So we were able to hire them as the teacher of record on the internship certificate, which is really great. All 10 of them are still with us. They'll be able to apply for their permanent certificate in January and then, remain with us. And we'll track them.
So the hope is now they finish, they graduate, they get their degree, they carry on with their class in through the spring, and then they keep rolling forward with us. And so we had 1 year where the first year they started cohort in the fall. So we have a couple of folks plus the one who didn't pass who we're placing in the spring. Then we have another group coming through this next year. And then there just is another cohort that just opened up where we recruited a couple of years ago. So they're in the process of applying. I don't know how many people we'll have yet. And then the good news is, so for this cohort now that we're in, the gal from FGCU that's very passionate about this actually spearheaded fundraising for this group. So just when we thought we were going to run out of money, we applied for the apprenticeship certificate program through FGCU, and that was just recently approved. So the program will continue. It may look a little bit different, but stay tuned. So there's that. And then here's our data that I had mentioned earlier that usually this falls in Adrian's portion, but because we're doing that support of the new teachers during the year, we're also looking to see, is that helping? And so our retention rate did go up 1%, so we think that that had something to do with it, and our attrition rate did go down. So our data's looking good.
We're hoping that one of the direct impacts impacting this is that new teacher orientation. Even though we cut it from 4 to 2, we're still supporting them so much because we think that's very important.
Any questions for me before you?
All right, good. Maybe. All right, so looking at objective 3, this is the recruit and retention section. So these are our overall objectives and we'll go through each one of them. but our percentage of students retained, we had 83% in 23-24. We're up to 85% now. We met it, but we're not done. It's not 100%, right? So we're gonna keep moving on that. Our leadership percentage, these were the goals that were set to us by the original steering committee, so we're still monitoring and keeping track of those. These are our percents in 23-24 and our percents in 24-25. We have increased, and we'll go into a little more detail with that. So we believe we're on track there. The average length of time in our leadership positions, well, it remained in 7.4, all right? So we're still there, but we want to, that's a 5-year measure, so that's why it's remaining. And then our number of vacancies, which you all well aware that we decreased those tremendously this year and continue to do so. All right. So looking at the first indicator, it's a little bit bigger and a little bit better for you to see. So it was 83% in 23-24. We're up to 88% retention rate of all of our employees. So this is overall. As you know, the national standard is around that 80%, so we're striving to be higher than that. So we're happy with the 88%, but we want to keep going. So we want to increase it to 89 at least next year. All right, and then we'll break it down into level 3s, and Bruce can talk about that.
So with our unit 1, our attrition rate
That's our teachers.
went down. So we didn't have people leaving. And our retention rate was went to 91%. So again, we increased from an 87%, so we kept our people.
That's overall, all in unit 1, so all instructional staff.
With our unit 2, again, our attrition rate went down from 15% to 12.8, and our retention rate went up from 85% to 87%. So again, we held on to our unit 2 people.
And our unit 2 is our support staff, so all of our support staff there.
Our unit 3, we did have some retirements this past year, so our attrition rate did go up a little bit. It went from 14.3 to 16.3. And our retention rate did go down just 2 percentage points. But again, we did have some retirements at the end of this year, or past year.
Definitely a smaller denominator, so that number is harder.
Yeah. And then with our unit 4, again, our attrition rate went down considerably from a 10.8 to 8.6. And our retention rate went from an 89 to 91%. So again, we've retained 3% more this past year.
So you all know this was a passion of mine to start keeping track of this data. It wasn't something we'd historically had before, so we're happy to see the trend data over time and to continue monitoring it.
So we did have a whole bunch of new hires at the beginning of this school year prior to the hiring freeze, and we termed a few, but those were probationary terms at the beginning of the school year.
Same data, just a different way of looking at it, because that breaks it by all the units there, the people that we've hired in the past 3 years by unit, and then and term doesn't mean termination. That means they're just no longer with us. That's just an HR term, a termination date in there. And because many people term in like August 1st, that's why these look bigger, because our calendar year, we don't work on a calendar year, our fiscal year ends July. Or begins July 1st. All right, so our level 2 for the percentage of staff retained, this is where they gave us the goal of the leadership longevity. So we're increasing, which is good. So we're tracking the leaders that have been employed with us plus 5 years. So we did it by the target. So we went from 47 last year to 49.6 this year. So we're happy with that. And then this kind of disaggregates based on where they are. So you can see where our number of employees are that are below the 5 years, because they're important to us as well. And then here's where they break out in the up to plus 30. So we're going to continue to strive to increase that as well. Different way of looking at it.
So this is an overall of all of the different positions and the percentages over the past years.
All right, looking at our vacancies for the first day, I alluded to this already. We're very happy with that, with a 5% increase in retention and a 27 decrease in attrition. Made us very happy there. But our vacancies this year is what we're talking about is the 38. We only had 38 overall. That's all staff, that's not just teachers. Then we did break it down by classroom vacancies, which you know we started the year with only 4 teacher vacancies. And we want to continue to work on that. That is a goal. And we were very glad that our school leaders also want that goal and our hiring managers, so everyone got on board with that. We were really happy with that score.
So as we were looking at our exit data from our employees, this is all based back in April. One of the key things that people were saying about Charlotte County Public Schools is that the relationships that they built. And they felt that that was like the number one thing that kept them here with us.
We've heard that before. We heard that from model schools as well.
Some of the areas of concern, though, they were a little bit displeased with their site-based orientations, and they were a little bit upset with, well, I wouldn't say upset. Their concern was the training for their position. So I know that we've been working on that with our schools about their site-based orientations, so that there's a huge checklist now that the principals must go through, so that the new staff are, acquainted with their new school or work site.
Want to make sure we meet the needs. So that's part of what we'll be going through when we're looking at meeting all of our students, because all of our staff, because this could be someone in grounds, right? It could be someone at a schoolhouse. So we want to make sure everyone has all the training they need to be able to perform the job so we can achieve goals.
Do principals or department heads get to see their own data for their areas? They can, maybe there are trends in certain places across the district?
We
or-
will, so what's really good, and you'll notice that this data looks very different than it did previously because we have transitioned it into Thought Exchange. So now we have AI to help us with it as well. So we are looking forward to building that. We did the first reach out to schools this past month, when we pulled the data ourselves and said, okay, we got a little bit. 59% is a little bit of a concern for us, right? That's not the overall majority, but it's a concern for us. So we reached out, we put it out there to them. What can we do? How can we change this site-based orientation to make it better? How can we help facilitate it? We know we're taking care of it with teachers and paraprofessionals, but we need to do it with all.
Well, and another thing that I wanted to add that I didn't mention before was that this summer we met with all of the assistant principals that oversee all of the new teachers when they're hired. And we talked about, here are some things that you could talk about every month and you should be meeting with them monthly. And we tried to shore that up a little bit instead of what was happening was at one school they were doing one thing, at another school they were doing something else. And just like we talk about our kids and how we want them all to get that same support and have that be equitable, we want the same thing for our teachers. So we went with our year-round folks earlier in the summer in June before their teachers came back, and then we met with the rest of our APs later in the summer. And then at our very first coaching collaborative, we met with our coaches to shore that up again because we really want to tighten up that piece.
And to go back to your question, they are anonymous surveys, so I can't really, but we are sharing the information and getting their input on how we can make it better,
Yeah, it does break it down by school or work site.
if they give it to us. Yep.
Another one of the key items that they said was the work environment. They were very pleased with that. It was a 64%. But an area of concern is affordable housing. A lot of the exit polls basically reflected that they just could not afford to live in Charlotte County any longer.
All right, and then the last thing as part of our retention goal is looking at how are we recognizing our employees. So this is the same exact slide that I brought to you last year, and I just wanted to give you an update kind of on what we accomplished last year and how we're moving forward. So originally the committee had wanted to recognize everyone with a 5, 10, 15, 20-year designation on their badges. We kind of put that on hold because there's a lot of technical aspect that goes into creating the badges since they're our fob system and there's a lot of pieces. So we did 25 years and we presented those at the beginning of the year. We did 26 of them. So we were really happy with that. As you know, last year, as you all know, we recognized 73 employees last year that had 30 years and received their 30-year pin. So we were that was a catch-up year. So, and then we gave 17 challenge coins for 35 plus. So we're planning to continue these recognitions and work on if we can expand our badge designation. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Presentation, thank you.
I've got a comment if there are no questions. So Board, at the end of the day, we're in a people business, right? And so how we treat our employees, how we train our employees, how we support our employees, it matters. It doesn't matter a little, it matters a lot. And so, Dr. McElroy, I want to thank you, Mr. Renee, Mr. Foreman, and I'd love to see that you have 20 members on your committee. Those are all wonderful names. It's a great subcommittee. We can't be successful on Priority Area 1, which is all about students, unless we're successful on Priority Area 2 with our employees. So very critical, and you all are doing a fantastic job. So I just want to thank you for all your work and all your efforts.
Thank you. I have to tell you, that committee is very vested too. They come every time and they're working, so we appreciate their input.
All right, if there's no other comments, any district updates that we have? And do we have anything from Baker? John?
Actually, the next Baker Council meeting is October 29th, and I will be out of town that morning, so I don't know if any one of you would like to participate in that.
What is that?
October 29th.
Well,
at
these two
9
ladies have not been on that particular board yet. I think the opportunity might go to one of them.
We'll talk about it, see what
Okay.
it is.
Just
If
let me
not-
know, let me
if
know,
not,
and I
I'll
can
cover it.
let
It's not a problem.
Any
let them-
concerns though with the federal shutdown, with funding? Have you heard anything? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There might be some good information
Yeah.
then. But we
Mr.
haven't.
Allen, excuse me,
Go ahead.
I didn't know if you want to comment on that. from a
Uh,
perspective.
I mean, I didn't prepare an official comment on that, but yeah, obviously the federal programs are kind of paused right now, but all of our federal programs are reimbursement programs, so we would have had to incur the cost ahead of time to get the reimbursement anyway, so it's already on a lagging system, about a month behind. So once we get to that 30-day point, that's the first time that we'll really experience it. But we were able to draw down a 25% advance prior to the shutdown for expenditures, so.
Thank you. Yeah, just let me know and then we'll go from there. Just want to note that we didn't meet all summer, so there should be a lot of good information on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you think we need a tentative workshop? No? All right. Mr.
Well,
Chairman.
thank you, Vice Chair. And with that, we'll adjourn our school board workshop for today. Thank you very much.